War for the kingdom of Yah.
What is it that the scripture tells us? Let Yah be true and every man a liar. So there's a lot of misinformation. We have to decipher and dig into the scriptures to find out what is true. What is true. And of course, that comes with time. It comes with study. It comes with dedication. You have to adjust yourself, make yourself pliable to this world, to this word. Meditate day and night upon this word, and then things will become clear. Yahweh Shai warns us. He says, men's hearts fail because of fear or for fear. A failing heart means you have to give, you have given up. That's what a failing heart is. It means that you have given in. So your fear becomes the necessary tool. Listen to what I'm saying. Your fear becomes the necessary tool for your enemy to use to keep you in a perpetual falling state. And said again to make sure we are clear on it. Your fear becomes the necessary tool for your enemy to use
Can't hear you, Bishop.
Was I heard?
Hear you now, yeah.
The enemy uses the tool of fear to keep you in a fallen perpetual state. All right, let's get Lamentations. Let's get Lamentations 4 and 17. We'll talk about fear today because a lot of people haven't tapped into this, and we got to tap into fear and anxiety. It holds us back. It often holds us back. Lamentations 4 and 17.
Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 17. As for us, our eyes is yet failed for our vain health, and our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
We watched for a nation that could not save us. We watched for a nation in spite of all of our efforts as a group of people, they could not and will not save us. We come into this truth with the same fear of failure and rejection. That's how when we find out I'm an Israelite. I'm gonna follow this teaching. I'm gonna follow the truth. But we bring in the same thing we had out there before we came into the truth. The same fear, the same anxiety, the same fear of rejection, but we haven't dealt with it. So we sitting amongst brothers and sisters without actually dealing with serious issues that need to be addressed. And some of those issues we may not even be aware of. Let's get 2 Ezra 7 and 19. The Most High is in control. You gotta believe that.
2 Ezra
7 and 19.
chapter 7, verse 19.
Mm-hmm.
He said unto me, there is no judge above Yah, and none that have understanding above the height.
Come on.
For there be many that perish in this life.
There be many that perish in this life. Read.
Because they despise the law of Yah.
Because they despise the law of Yah. Now here lies the problem with many of us. A lot of us, when we come into the truth, don't want to start from the beginning. We want to somehow start at the top or maybe somewhere in the middle. But what did Yahweh Shai say? Let's get Matthew right quick. Matthew 19. Let's hold 2 Ezra. Let's go to Matthew 19 and verse 14.
19 and what?
Matthew chapter 19, verse 14.
Matthew 19, verse 14. Where Yahweh Shah said, suffer little children and forbid them not to come unto me. For of such is the kingdom of heaven.
Let's read it again. Watch this. Let's read it again. You just heard me make the statement. Many of us want to start at the top or maybe even at the middle. We don't want to start at the beginning. But we have to start at the beginning. And then the Most High will raise us up. So let's see what the Messiah said again, Matthew 19 and 14.
But Yahweh Shah said, suffer little children and forbid them not to come unto me.
The little children and forbid the children not to come to me. Watch this. This is the most important part of that verse. Come on.
For of such is the kingdom of heaven.
You have to be just like those little children. This is how the kingdom of heaven is built. This is how it is made up. Because you have to be just like these little children. Little children get what they do. What do the little children do? They're innocent, right? It's a clean slate. They don't come in with no baggage. They don't come in with no garbage. They don't come with no notion. They come in ready to learn. Their hearts and minds are open and ready to learn. They adjust themselves to whatever is going on to make themselves pliable to whatever the word of the Most High is saying. So listen to what the Messiah said. The Messiah said, such is the kingdom of heaven. This must be what you have to be like in order for you to build the kingdom of heaven. Just like these little children, a clean slate to work with. Was that all of that?
Yeah, that's all of 14.
All right, let's go back to Second Ezra. Second Ezra 7 and what was we at? 21.
Verse 21. For Yah have given great commandment to such as can what they should live, even if it's as they came, and what they should observe to avoid punishment.
Read it again.
For Yah have given straight commandment to such as came, what they should do to live, even as they came, and what they should observe to avoid punishment.
What they should do to observe punishment. He gives us explicit instructions on how we should build, on how we should deal with one another, how we should come together, and how we should unify, how we should gather ourselves together. But you see it another way. And although many won't admit it, it is because of fear, anxiety, and frustration. And we got to deal with that fear. We got to deal with that anxiety. And we got to deal with that frustration. It hinders your spiritual development. It hinders your spiritual development. Verse 22.
Verse 22. Nevertheless, they were not obedient unto him, but spake against him and imagined vain things.
Read on.
Verse 23. And deceived themselves by their wicked deeds, and said of the Most High that he is not.
Come on.
Knew not his ways.
Knew not his ways. Read. Watch this.
Verse 24. But his law have they despised.
Come on.
Denied his covenants. And his statutes have they not, and have not performed his works.
And have not performed his works. The unfaithful, the unbelieving person. Our job is to get in where we fit in. To get in where we fit in. We have to find out what works, because there's something we should be doing that we are not doing, because fear and anxiety prevents the act of your purpose. It prevents, it stops you in your tracks. We have to find out what our purpose is within the body of Messiah and become proficient at his works. Sometimes it is so very difficult for people to work together. And it's frustrating whenever there's fear and anxiety. Fear of making a mistake, or fear of being embarrassed, or fear of being out front. You know, there's different types of anxiety. People have problems. People have problems. And we have to address those issues. Let's get Hebrews right quick. I mean, there is a such thing as a healthy amount of fear, but we ain't talking about that. We're talking about things that hold you back from your purpose. Hebrews 13 and verse 5.
13 and 5.
Yeah, chapter 13, verse 5 and 6.
Hebrews 13, 5 and 6. Let your conversation be without covetousness.
Mm-hmm.
Be content with such things as ye have.
Read on.
For he have said, I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee.
Come on.
So that we may boldly say, the Most High is my helper. And I will not fear what man shall do unto me.
I will not fear what man shall do unto me. Whatever you need to do, and whatever you have to do, whatever's been dropped in your spirit, you should do. Whatever a man finds in his hands to do it as unto the Most High. And do not let fear and anxiety stop you. I know it can be difficult to overcome, because some things have held us bound for years. And as I said in the beginning of the lesson, a lot of us don't even know that it is there. We don't go to the next level because we let fear stop us, or anxiety stops us. We can never reach our purpose because fear and anxiety stops us. I always say this. Ask the question, what is the richest place in the world? Think about it. What is the richest place in the world? The cemetery. It's filled with treasures. People have died with their hopes and their dreams and their desires unfulfilled because fear stopped them. You have poets and songwriters and screenwriters and great musicians die without fulfilling their purpose. You have great leaders and teachers and people of power and authority die without fulfilling their purpose because of fear and anxiety. And we're going to find out that sin today fear is just like sin. It's the same as sin. We're going to find that out today. Fear itself is not necessarily the problem. It is what you do with the fear is the issue. Now, we got this article from Twin Cities University of Minnesota study. It is called The Impact of Fear and Anxiety. And it reads, fear is a human emotion, but is triggered by perceived threat. It is a basic survival mechanism that signals our bodies to respond to danger with a fight or flight response. As such, it is a central part of keeping us safe. However, when people live in constant fear, whether from physical dangers in their environment or threats they perceive, they can experience negative impacts in all areas of their lives and even become incapacitated. That means fear can grip you to the point where you can no longer move. And this doesn't just mean physically, it means metaphysically as well. It stops you. You want to study, but you become anxious, it stops you. You want to go to school, you want to go to get a higher education, but you get anxious about it, get fearful for it, it stops you. You got a pretty good voice, you need a little bit of training, but you can drop something on wax. But you don't do it because now you're scared. You want to open up a school for a special school for children. That's been on your heart your whole life, but you don't do it because of fear. That fear breaks down your community. What you have in you, your nation needs. But you won't do it because you're too scared to make a move. It incapacitates you. That's what we want to talk about. Being incapacitated. Being stagnant. Not being able to utilize the skills of the Most High has given you. And it's because of fear. The article goes on to say how fear works, physically and metaphysically. Fear prepares us to react to danger. Once we sense a potential danger, our body releases hormones that slow or shut down functions needed for survival, such as our digestive system. You don't need that right now, but you need to run. So it slows down your digestive system and gives you more energy to run. The sharpened functions that might help us survive, such as eyesight or heart rate increases and blood flows to muscles so we can run faster. Our body also increases the flow of hormones to the area of the brain known as amygdala. I hope I said the word right. Amygdala, to help us focus on presenting danger and store in our memory. How fear, the article says, impacts our thinking. The brain short circuits more rational processing paths. The brain reacts immediately to signals from the amygdala instead of more rational processing. The brain perceives events as negative. When this overactive state, sometimes called the amygdala hijack, the brain perceives events as negative and remembers them that way. So in other words, whenever, say for instance, and it's just an oversimplification for the example, say for instance, there was something incredibly happened to you when you were drinking Canada Dry. So every time you see a can of Canada Dry, you go into a panic mode because the brain remembers this would happen to me during the time when I was drinking Canada Dry. So very often when we come into this truth, we don't deal with those situations that caused us trauma before we came into the truth. We just come into the truth. And we still are triggered by things, by sights, by sounds. Someone corrected me. I'm not used to being corrected. Now I jump off because I'm not, this is what I'm used to, how I'm used to responding. And we have to deal with that. The teachers, the elders, the imams, the mothers, we have to deal with your fear and anxiety even when you don't know that it's there. The article goes on to say the details of the event can trigger fear later. The sights, the sounds, and other contextual details of a fearful event may bring back memory, such as something that you experienced when you were a child. Maybe there was some type of a molestation or something that happened to you, but something triggers it. And you don't know that this is what happens to you every time you see this person that looks familiar like somebody that did something to you. This is fear and anxiety. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let me move on. In severe cases, this can cause PSTD. PSTD, right? Did I say it wrong? That's okay. Y'all helping me out. PSTD, right? PTSD. Okay. PTSD. Reacting to clues were associated with previous danger as a predictor or threat. Often happens with post-traumatic stress disorder. Did I say that right? Okay. For example, a soldier who experienced a bombing on a foggy day. This is an example, like I gave with the Canada Dry example. A soldier that experienced a bombing on a foggy day might find himself panicking when weather turns foggy without knowing why. So he experienced this years ago. Every time the weather gets foggy, his brain goes to what happened in a traumatic experience. Same thing with trauma that happens just out here in the community, the Black and Latino community. What happens out here, things trigger, right? Can trigger or impact us. This is the impact of chronic fear. The article goes on to say, living under constant threat has serious health consequences, physical health. Fear weakens the immune system and can cause cardiovascular damage. Memory. Fear can impair information of long-term memories and cause damage to certain parts of the brain. So some folks have memory loss and they don't understand that it's fear and anxiety that triggered that memory loss. The brain processing and reactivity. Fear can impute process of our brains that allow us to relate to emotions. Like you can't empathize or sympathize with someone because something happened to you to cause that disconnect. This is a mental health issue, but we know that within the Black and Latino community, why all these things have dominated our community. These things that are among our people have been a punishment or a curse the Bible has caused them. So let's go to Deuteronomy 28, right quick, Deuteronomy 28 and 28. Deuteronomy 28 and 28. We want verses 28 and 29. Let's see why these things are happening within the Black and Latino community.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 28. Yah shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart.
Astonishment of heart is fear. Astonishment of heart is fear. The Most High shall smite you with madness, meaning that many of our brothers and sisters will have a mental issue. And blindness. Many of our brothers and sisters will be spiritually dead, spiritually blind, and astonishment of heart, meaning fear. Many of our brothers and sisters will be caught up in fear. That's astonishment of heart. Verse 29.
Verse 29. And thou shalt grope in noondays, as the blind gropeth in darkness.
Read on.
Thou shalt not prosper in thy ways,
and
thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore.
Come on.
And no save thee.
And no man shall save you out of these conditions. So how do we change as a people? Brothers and sisters, how do we change? How do we turn this thing around? The Bible tells us that the Most High has not given us a spirit of fear, but of sound mind. And given us examples throughout the Bible as to how to deal with the fear. how to overcome the fear. Many of our forefathers and our forebears, the men that came before us, they dealt with the same anxiety. They dealt with the same fear. And I know this is probably not a popular lesson, but it's one that's necessary because we can't keep looking over stuff. We have to deal with your issue. There's a mental health crisis in the nation of Israel. I'm going to say it again. There's a mental health crisis within the nation of Israel. Our people are sick and they're in need of a physician. And this Bible is what heals what's ailing us. Let's see what Paul did and how he overcame some fear. Let's go to Acts 21 and 13. Acts 21 and 13.
Acts 21.
There we go. 21 what? 13?
Yeah.
Acts 21, verse 13. Then Paul answered, what mean you to weep and to break mine heart? For I am ready not to be bound only, but also to die at Jerusalem for the name of Yahushua Messiah.
Let's read verse 13 again, because this is some overcoming some fear right here. Let's read 13. Let's read verse 13 one more time.
Acts 21, verse 13. Then Paul answered, what mean you to weep and to break mine heart? I am ready not to be bound only, but also to die.
Prison. He said, I'm not only ready to go to prison. Read.
I am not to be bound only, but also to die at Jerusalem for the name of Yahushua Messiah.
But I'm ready to die too. Not only am I ready to go to prison, but I'm ready to get put to death as well. Listen, this is somebody that had to overcome some fear. You don't think Paul was afraid to spend the rest of his life in prison or get put to death, which he did spend a great amount of time in jail and get put to death? You don't think that? Paul said, I'm not only ready to go to prison, but I'm also ready to get put to death for what he believed and for the work and for the ministry. That's overcoming some fear right there. Verse 14.
And when he would not be persuaded, we cease, saying, the will of the Most High will be done.
The will of the Most High be done. Whatever you do. If he put me in prison, he put me in prison. It's his will. If he put me to death, he put me. It's his will. But trust and believe, he had to get to this. This man had to get to this point. Many of us in this truth, we are not at that point. Trust. We be snitching and telling on everybody not to be at that point. I said snitching. Let's get Matthew. Let's see how Yahushua dealt with fear. Oh yeah, because Yahushua was a man who was afraid. Yahushua was a man who was afraid. Matthew 26 and 36.
Matthew 26, verse 36. Then cometh Yahushua with them unto and saith unto them, sit ye here while I go.
You're breaking up a little bit, but I'll read it because you're breaking up a little bit. And then make sure you mute up. You all are muting up when you're reading. So that way you're not breaking each other into. But I want to read the top of this so we can get it clear. And then you come in at 38 for me. And make sure you all muting yourselves. Matthew 26 and 36. Then cometh Yahushua with them into a place called Gethsemane, and said unto the disciples, sit here a while, I go and pray yonder. And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Verse 38.
Verse 38. Then saith he unto them, my soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry ye here and watch with me.
So in verse 38, he says, my soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. So he turned around, looked at Peter, looked Peter dead in his eye. This is the Messiah now. He turned around, looked Peter dead in his eye, and said, Peter, I'm scared to death. When he said my soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even to death, that's what he was saying. He said, Peter, I'm scared to death. Now, you know you got to be some type of scared to tell another man that you scared to death. You got to be scared. Trust me, Bishop is scared if I turn around and say, man, I'm scared to death. If I tell you that, and you know I'm not laughing, I'm not joking, and we really in a situation, you know I'm afraid. Because men don't just tell each other they're scared to death. When you say that, you definitely scared. You're in fear. Verse 39.
Verse 39. And he went a little further and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou will.
So this is how you know that Yahweh Shai wasn't God. This is how you know. Right here. This right here lets you know that who was he praying to? To let the cup pass. God ain't gonna ask nobody to let the cup pass. God is just gonna simply pass the cup. That's how you know right there that this is a natural man praying in fear for his life. And if there's any way possible, I don't want to go through this. I'm definitely afraid. I don't want this to happen to me. But this is what made his mission so unique. What he did so unique. Even though he was in fear, he overcame the fear and said, listen, not my will, Father, but let your will be done. I know this cup, if I got to drink this cup, I'm going to drink this cup. He overcame the fear. He overcame the anxiety. If you are in a state to where you are falling on your face, you got great drops of sweat falling off you like blood, and you telling your homeboy that you in fear for your life, even unto death, man, you in a sad situation. You in a sad state. What verses were you at? Verse 41?
Verse 40.
Okay, let's get it, verse 40.
And he cometh unto the disciples, and findeth them asleep, and saith unto Peter, what? Could ye not watch with me 1 hour? Verse 41. Watch and pray, that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Come on.
Verse 42. He went again the second time and prayed, saying, O my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, thy will be done.
Thy will be done. This is how he overcame his fear. This is how he overcame his fear. He said, that will be done. His faith superseded his fear. Check and mate. My obedience to Yah puts my fear in check. I hope y'all didn't miss what I just said. I hope you didn't miss it. The faith that I have in the Most High and my obedience that I have to the Most High, it puts my fear and my anxiety in check. Yes, I'm fearful unto death. Yes, I have anxiety. Yes, I'm being stopped in my tracks. Yeah, I can't fulfill my purpose. For whatever reason, I'm scared, I'm nervous, I can't do it. But if I had pressed my face, if I pressed my way through, and I have faith in the Most High, it corrects and checks my fear. You have to have the ability, brothers and sisters, to reach way down on the inside of you and break out of what's been holding you back. You can't help what your mother didn't do. You can't help that your father wasn't there. You can't help that they treated you real bad in school or you got bullied. You can't help that. That's over. You got to press towards the mark. You got things to do. Our enemies, brothers and sisters, have set up a system that is relentless for keeping our people in a perpetual state of servitude. And they have actually weaponized your fear. They weaponized your fear. They grouped us up in these communities and then put a systematic, put us in a state of systematic racism that brings about a lot of detriment to our community. We see these things and it brings fear and anxiety. And I know that that we go through these things because of oftentimes because of complex issues that triggers many of the things that we go through within the Black and Latino community. Things like very early trauma that we go through as children, child abuse, family history of child abuse. And I know we laugh about it, comedians make jokes about it, how Black folks whip their kids. Yeah, we whip our children. Some of that is just straight up abuse. He's beating the hell out of these kids. Some of that is outrageous. You know. But chastisement without correction is insanity. So we go through many of our people in our community, and we have to be open about this. We gotta listen. We gotta stop lying to each other about stuff. We gotta stop lying to each other about stuff, or we'll never get over what we're going through in our communities. Trauma and abuse, a family history of trauma and abuse. These are things that are triggers when you're an adult. Some people, when they deal with anxiety, they are overly shy or reclusive, or they have inhibited temperament or become very angry at any slight. Have you ever talked to someone, you barely said anything to them, they just fly off? That's something is there that have not been dealt with. And when you come into the truth, when you come into the family of the truth, under the umbrella of the nation of Israel, these are things that have not been dealt with, and people go from camp to camp, from group to assembly without never taking care of that situation. So they never become healed from it. They only change the place. Something pop off, something jump off, they go somewhere else. and never deal with what needs to be dealt with. We have to become a place of healing for our brothers and sisters. We got to deal with that. It's not, we have to do, okay, I know I'm an Israelite. I know I'm a son of the Most High. Now what? We have to deal with these issues because they ain't going nowhere. People have real problems. We have to deal with them. Some of those factors bring up issues of fear and anxiety by exposure or prolonged racism, or systematic racism that is abusive in our communities. The effects of racism, such as fewer opportunities or less safe communities. This is called the institution of racism. The institution of racism brings about higher rates of trauma, assault, including sexual assault, something that we have to deal with that's not dealt with in our community, as well as police violence and abuse of authority. Have you ever noticed that a lot of Black folks don't know how to handle authority? You put them in a position of power and they become very abusive because they don't know how to deal with authority. They never had authority. So this seems to be the goal of our enemies. They keep us in fear, they keep us stagnant. And if you are stagnant, it keeps you from your purpose. It keeps you from your purpose, keeps you out of the kingdom, or it keeps you from building the kingdom. Let's get Ecclesiasticus. Ecclesiasticus 38 and 34. 38 and 34. Y'all gonna work with me, right? Y'all working with me today? All right. We're gonna see our people through. That's what we want to see. We want to see our people through. We got to learn more to Deuteronomy 28. We got to get to the heart of the matter. What's ailing us? Why are we so sick? Even when we find out that we're Israelites, strangers and all, we still sick. We got to deal with it. Ecclesiasticus 38, 34.
Ecclesiasticus 38, verse 34.
Come on.
But they will maintain the state of the world, and all their desire is in the work of their craft.
They want to maintain the state of the world. Esau don't want to give up power. So of course he keeps the Black and Latino community and the Israelites community around the world in a perpetual state of fear. He got to keep you there. If he keep you there, then you can't come out of what you're in. But once you start to say, hey, get this off of me. Come out of what we're in. But they will maintain the state of the world. They would keep things like there is. And all the desire is to work their craft. What is their craft? To keep you in a perpetual state of fear. To stop you. They have weaponized the mechanism of fear that causes, in our community, disloyalty. It causes a lack of unity, a lack of and also mistrust, and it also causes no love. That's what fear does. That's what keeping you and I in a perpetual state of fear and anxiety, that's what it does for us as a community as a whole. Keep us disloyal, keep us with a lack of unity, keep us with mistrust, and it keeps us with no love for one another. Let's get Judith the 5th chapter of Judith, in the 20th verse. The 5th chapter of Judith and the 20th verse.
Judah chapter 5, verse 20.
Say
Now
again.
Was he say Judah?
That's in Judith in the Apocrypha, the 5th chapter of Judith and the 20th verse.
Right. Now therefore,
Mhm.
my Lord and Governor, if there is any error in his people, and they sin against their God,
Mhm.
let us consider that this should be their room.
Uh-huh.
Let us go up, and we shall overcome them.
And they're going to overcome it. So they already understood and knew what their craft would have to be to keep us in a perpetual state of sin. Because if we can't ever come out of our sin, then that will be their ruin. So this is why you see the communities being in the condition that they are in. They weaponized fear to cause disloyalty, to cause a lack of unity, mistrust, and no love. Brothers and sisters, our sin is sinful. It only testifies to our lack of faith. And you have to think very little of the Most High, very little of the Most High. And you have to have very small strength and very little faith and much fear. Let's get Proverbs 24 and 9. If we don't shake this thing off of us, that means your fear, your faith is small and your fear is strong. We got to change that. Proverbs 24, verse 9 and 10.
Proverbs 24, verses 9 and 10.
Come on.
The foolishness is sin,
Mhm.
and the scorner is an abomination to men.
Come on.
If thou faint in the day of adversity,
Come on.
thy strength is small.
You faint, if you faint in the day of adversity, I mean, if you fear, if you cower in the face of adversity, then your strength is small. Your faith is small. Your faith is small. You got to build your faith. Faith is the enemy of fear. Faith is the enemy of fear. Must not be a faith. We must remain vigilant. Our enemies mean to terrify us, but Yah has strengthened our hands. Philippians 1 and 28. Philippians 1 and 28. Thank you, Father.
Philippians chapter 1, verse 28.
Hmm?
And in nothing terrified by your adversaries,
Come on.
which is to them an evident token of perdition,
Uh-huh.
but to you of salvation.
But
And that-
to you, salvation. Philippians is saying the same thing Judith was saying, but just in a different way. Read it again.
Verse 28.
Uh-huh.
And in nothing terrified by your adversaries,
And nothing, don't be terrified by your adversaries. Meaning don't lose faith or hope. When they mechanize the weapon of fear, don't lose faith or hope. And nothing being terrified by your enemies or adversaries. Read on.
which is to them an evident token of perdition,
Which is to them an evident of token of hell. They mean you no good. They mean that fear is meant to hurt you. It means is for your destruction. Read on.
but to you of salvation, and that of Yah,
But to you, salvation. meaning you can rise above this fear, this anxiety, and these conditions. God's going to help us in a time of trouble. Yes, sir. He's going to help us in a time of trouble. Let's get Revelations. Revelations 12, and let's start at verse 15.
Revelation 12, verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman.
Come on.
He might cause her to be carried away of the flood.
Start up from the top of verse 15 again.
And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman.
After the woman is the children of Israel. The serpent is our enemies. Come on.
That he might cause her to be carried away of the flood.
That he might cause us to be carried away by the flood. So what is the flood? The flood is his propaganda, his mechanism of fear. That's what the flood is. Verse 16.
And the earth helped the woman.
And what?
And the earth helped the woman.
And the earth helped the woman that was being carried away or being pressed upon with fear. Come on.
And the earth opened up her mouth.
Uh-huh.
And swallowed up the flood which the dragon
The earth
cast
opened up his mouth and swallowed up the flood. Come on.
Which the dragon cast out of his mouth.
Was the dragon our enemies cast out of his mouth? It's fear, his mechanism of fear and propaganda, his ideology. How did the earth help the children of Israel? How does it help the children of Israel? Let's see. Let's get Psalms now. Psalms 85 and 11. How does the earth help the woman? Let's see. Psalms 85, verse 11.
Truth shall spring out of.
Read it again.
Truth shall spring out of earth.
Truth. This is how the earth is going to help the woman. Truth is going to spring out of the earth. Come on.
And righteousness shall look down from heaven.
And righteousness shall look down from heaven. Truth is going to spring up out of the earth, and righteousness is going to look down from heaven. How? How is truth just going to come up like a ghost out of the earth? Of course not. Let's get Isaiah 30. Let's get Isaiah 30. How is truth going to come out of the earth? First, let's get Isaiah 45 first. Isaiah 45 and 8. Let's see how the earth is. What is the Bible? This is hip talk. This is metaphoric talk. This is how the truth. This is how the earth is going to. Truth is going to come out of the earth. Isaiah 45 and 8.
Isaiah 45 verse 8.
Come on.
Ye heavens from above, and let the skies pour down righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
Let the earth open, and let
the
them
earth
bring
is going to open. Read.
And let them bring forth salvation.
And let them bring forth salvation. Read.
And let righteousness spring up together.
Uh-huh.
I, the Most High, have created it.
I, the Most High, has created. Now, who was the them that the Bible is talking about here that's going to spring up in the earth and bring forth salvation? Now let's go to Isaiah 30. Who was the them here that's talked about in Isaiah 48? That the Revelations was talking about, that's going to help the earth, the truth that's going to come out of the earth. Isaiah 30 and verse 20 and 21. Let's see, who was the them that spring forth salvation? And that's going to spring up righteously together. Who is he talking about? Isaiah 30, verse 20 and 21.
Isaiah 30, 20 and 21.
Mm-hmm.
And the Most High give you the bread of adversity.
Come on.
And the water of affliction.
Come on.
Yet shall not the teachers be removed into a corner anymore.
Come on.
But thine eyes shall see thy teachers.
But your eyes shall see your teachers. Those are the ones that's going to bring forth truth out of the earth and righteousness and call down righteousness from the heavens. That's how the earth is going to help the woman. Truth is going to come out of the woman from their teachers. Verse 21.
And thine ears shall hear a word behind thee saying,
Mhm.
this is the way, walk
Come
ye
on.
in it.
Come on.
When you turn to the right hand,
Uh-huh.
turn to the left.
And you turn to the left when you start to see Israelite camps and groups spring up everywhere. I had 2-3 people call me this morning. Folks call me all during the week. People want to know. People, you starting to see truth is coming up, springing up in the earth. Folk want to come in, but we got to be ready. We got to be ready when they come. We got to deal with problems so we can deal with problems. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? We got to deal with our problems so we can deal with problems. Because you got problems when you came in. You don't think they got problems when they come in? Everybody got problems when they come in here. Dealing with colorism and hatred and sexism and all kinds of stuff. People have all kinds of problems, issues. And I ain't saying one is worse than the other. But what I am saying is we have to deal with, we can't sweep this stuff under the rug. It has to be dealt with. It has to be dealt with. All right. Let's get Psalm 64. We almost done. Psalm 64. Start at verse 1. Psalm 64, start at verse 1.
Hear my voice, Yah, my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the
You're breaking up. You're breaking up a little bit out. So everyone mute yourself, and the only describer should be unmuted. Psalm 64, verse 1.
Verse 1. Hear my voice, O Yah, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 2. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. Verse 3. Who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. Verse 4. That they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not.
Come on.
Verse 5. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily.
Come on.
They say, who shall see them?
When they weaponize institutional racism within our communities, they release that thing. They say, who see it? Who see me? This thing taking on a mind of its own. You put a bunch of people in a certain place and set the conditions for these people to have fear, anxiety, mistrust. You see what you're going to get. See what you're going to get. Every year, when our children hit the 3rd and 4th grade, you know what they do? They start counting how many prisons they want to have to build. This thing is a setup, and we have to fix it. Read verse 5 again.
Verse 5. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily.
Privately, they commune with one another. This is what we have to do to put them in the fix. Come on.
They say, who shall see them?
Who shall see the thing that we do to put them in the bind? Come on.
Verse 6.
Mhm.
Out iniquities,
Come on.
they accomplish a diligent search,
Mhm.
both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep.
They think about what they need to do to keep you in a state of fear. Both the inward part is deep. They think, they do a diligent search. What do I have to do to keep them in a perpetual state of fear and sin? To keep them from gaining the kingdom. This is what they do. Read on.
Verse 7. But Yah shall shoot at them
Mhm.
with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded.
Come on.
Verse 8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away.
Come on.
Verse 9. And all men shall fear and shall declare the work of Yah, for they shall wisely consider of his doing.
All praise to the Most High. Now, my dear brothers and sisters, fear is the necessary evil to help you overcome the thing that had you bound, to help you push through into those places where the Father has purposed you to be, to help you overcome and to help you thrive. Yes, it was necessary to whip us in shape, but now that we know the truth, we have to have faith enough to overcome our fear. All praise to the Most High. All right, we're going to leave it right there. We're going to leave it right there. We want to thank you on Facebook
War
for
for the
joining us
kingdom of Yah.
and all of our social.